What's going on, everybody? This is J Ruth Gaming. Welcome back to the compound. For today's podcast video, we will be going over some details of week 1 and then going right into week 2, going right down the schedule game by game and giving you our input, our thoughts of what's going to happen in the fantasy football world. And then we're going to end with a bold predictions segment right here with you guys. Sit back, relax, have a great time, enjoy the video. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to week 2. What a bloodbath, man. Week 1 was just brutal.
Heartbreaker after heartbreaker.
Oh my goodness.
But you know what? Not where it mattered. Russell Wilson revenge game, bust. Baker Mayfield revenge game, bust. Joe Flacco's revenge game, bust. So, I don't know. Heartbreaker is where I guess it mattered for the other team.
Absolutely insane. Insane. Just craziness all over the place. So right here on the channel, we talk everything fantasy football, whether it's your Survivor League or your typical weekly fantasy football stats, whatever it is. So on today's schedule, like the intro talked about in the first half, we're going to talk a little bit about the bloodbath that occurred. We're going to go through week 2, what we see, a little bit of each game, and then we have the bold picks from you, Connor.
Got a couple hot ones up my sleeve.
We'll do that at the end.
Got a new tattoo on my sleeve.
I see it.
Next to the hot ones.
Like that. All right. So if you're part of a survivor pool, which seems to be growing every year, whether you're doing it with your friends or wherever you're doing it, literally 60% plus got eliminated.
Yeah. So really, if you're part of a survivor pool, no, you're not.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. You're not.
Unless you pick the Ravens or a low bottom team.
Yeah. Yep.
Because Ravens were literally the only safe, quote unquote, safe team that made it out of week 1.
They were. I guess you can always count on the Jets to be the Jets, and that's the thing that people underestimate at the beginning of every year. So
unbelievable. So let's go down the list. So
okay.
We start the week off. Chargers at the Chiefs.
Yeah.
What do you see there?
So Chargers played great against Vegas, but the Chiefs played better against the Cardinals, and I gotta go Chiefs. Even though I didn't expect we moved right into week 2.
Yeah.
That was so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't expect. I expect the Chargers to play well.
Okay.
I think the Chiefs are going to continue to dominate that division from here on out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Going back to our last video, we talked about like top tier players how we talked about quarterbacks. There's a bunch were in that top tier. I think Mahomes though, and Allen, which we'll talk about later, put themselves like in an even higher tier.
I think so.
If that's possible.
I think Allen himself put himself in a different tier, and I think Mahomes might be one below him even.
I think Mahomes had the, you know what, I'm without Hill, and like I'm still gonna prove.
Yeah. I mean, he used every weapon he could against a formidable opponent in the Cardinals.
For sure.
And just, I mean, as Kyler Murray said, he whooped him. Like whooped him.
It was a game.
And that was it. And that's really what it comes to. So I think Mahomes is up there. I mean, there was a lot of concern with Mahomes as far as like who was his weapon going to be.
Gotcha.
I don't think it matters. For Aaron Rodgers, think it matters. Patrick Mahomes, don't think it matters.
No. So I think you'd be happy with really any of those players. I know Eckler didn't have a great game. Do you think he makes not a return, but like a better week 2? Yeah,
I think he's one of those players that have one of those week 1s that you don't want them to have, and then will probably get progressively better. Unless you're facing them. Yeah. That's what you want. And I was facing Austin Eckler, right? And I was really happy about it.
All right, let's move on to Sundays, the 1 o'clock games.
Yeah.
Jets versus the Browns. You see anything special jumping out at you?
No.
Nothing at all. I do. I'm glad you said that, because I do.
Okay.
So, for the last man standing, survivor pool, whatever you want to call it, there's like so many different terms for it.
Yep.
The Jets, we had the Ravens, and the Ravens were one of them. I know you and I, we had the
Broncos.
Yeah. It was a rough night.
Yes, it was.
A rough night Monday.
Yeah, my season's over.
The wife and I had Ravens. Thank you, honey.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, the Jets slowed down the run-focused offense, if you will, of the Ravens.
They did.
Browns running.
They are. With two mountains.
So I'm very interested to see did the Jets win against the Browns.
I mean, if the Jets are going to pull a win out over anyone, it would be typically Cleveland for them to lose to the Jets.
Cleveland's -6, by the way, time of this recording.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I seen. I was like, that might be a trap game. Might be a trap game.
Could be.
Fantasy football-wise, like, players, I don't, it's Jets and Browns. Sorry if you're Jets and Browns fan. Just keeping it real here.
Hey, if you're a Browns fan, you're getting Brownie the Elf on midfield. So that's a positive thing. That's a really cool thing if you're a Browns fan.
All right, so besides that, though, just be on the lookout, I guess you can say. I could see the Jets actually putting out a good performance against the Browns.
That's fair. Yeah.
For what it's worth. The next one on the card, the Commanders against the Lions.
Lions kept it close.
And Washington is dangerous. I don't care what anyone says.
Washington looks better than I think a lot of people think they are.
Yes.
I also think the Lions look better than a lot of people think they are. For what it's worth, against the Eagles,
Careful, I'm an Eagle fan. Careful,
I know.
Careful.
They didn't have the game I thought they would have, but they ran in touchdowns almost every time.
The Eagles are... The way I watched the Eagles was like when we just won the Super Bowl. They were just like, oh my goodness, the trade worked for A.J. Brown. We're going to be decent. Whatever. And the defense is like, yeah, you still got to play defense.
For sure, yeah.
Like, it seemed like they were partying the entire game.
Yeah, I feel like especially towards that second half of that game, the Lions, like all of a sudden out of nowhere, made it a game.
Yes, 100%.
And so I think the Commanders are dangerous, but if the Lions are going to pull one out, what do you think against Carson Wentz? Can they do it?
So
Carson Wentz looked good.
As an Eagle fan, I personally don't care for Wentz. Got to say that. But he did bring us far.
Yeah.
Then he went to the Colts, brought them far. He can't finish in the playoffs. I get that. But with Washington, he has a ton of weapons and a good defense.
And no pressure.
Nothing. So, but the Lions are... If I wanted to play for a coach, I want to play for the Lions.
That's fair. Yeah.
So, like, I think that's going to be
you know what, though?
an impressive game to watch.
I agree. My only counter argument to that, and I think it was Shannon Sharp who said it. It was one of the major sports analysts on Fox. They said, for Coach Campbell, you absolutely want to run through a wall for him.
Yes, absolutely.
But sometimes there's an open door next to the wall. And you don't always need to run through the wall.
Just like our WWE times. I love the spear through the barrier.
True.
You know what I mean?
True. The spear in the middle of the ring doesn't have the same thing to it. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's fair. Yep.
So I guess the fantasy guys you would want to watch out for. Listen, I've been saying it, Wentz. He scored a lot of points that week 1. Maybe he is a guy lower down that, if you're doing DraftKings or FanDuel, whatever, that's maybe cheaper.
Yeah.
Maybe something to keep an eye on. Eagles did score a bunch on the Lions.
They did, and even though they didn't score a bunch in the air, I'd still be on the lookout for Dotson. I think Jahan Dotson had a way better game than I expected him, and I think, not to knock PSU wide receivers, but he probably had the better debuts of a PSU wide receiver.
Probably did.
I don't really remember what Godwin's was like, but I remember Allen Robinson's wasn't super great. Again, Bears, but I don't know. But I think Dotson had a really good game, and I think he's a guy to look out for.
I think so, too. And maybe Swifty does some damage, too, for the Lions. So I think we might be seeing some high fantasy points coming from that game.
I think so, too.
That makes sense. All right. So let's go on. Let's move on. We got the Buccaneers versus the Saints.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you have the Saints defense, because you were told they were going to be a super good, high-performing defense.
I'm guessing you have the Saints.
I do. This is probably a week that they are, again, not going to perform the way that ESPN told you they would.
Don't listen to the professionals. None of this is financial advice. It's two guys having a good time talking fantasy football, like most people do.
Yep, yeah. So I don't know that I would want to play the defense. And if you're a person like me, you're probably going to look for a flyer for this week.
That's fair.
But other than that, I mean, Chris Godwin's hurt. Who steps up in his favor, you think?
Well, they're saying Gage, but truthfully, watching Brady, it's kind of one of those things where anytime Brady's on TV now, which seems like, all the time, they're trying to get him a lot of TV time.
Yeah.
You got to watch. It's just, we're watching. He's not going to be on TV in the next couple of years. He's supposed to be done already.
Well, he'll be on TV.
Well,
he won't be on the
not
field.
playing.
Yeah.
Correct. Thank you for correcting me. But watching him throw these deep bombs to Julio, and Julio dropped 2, I think, of them. Underthrew him. I think that's just practice.
Yeah.
Of like, they're brand new to the team.
Yeah.
So, I think Julio actually has a big game. I don't know about Gage, because Gage was hurt last week, technically.
Right.
So they're saying he's going to do a little bit better. So maybe there's a cheap option to get Gage or Julio this week, especially if you're doing the buying system of DraftKings and whatnot, or FanDuel, wherever you play. So maybe they get the target share. But Conway didn't have a big game last week. It was really Evans that.
Yeah.
Now, they faced Dallas. Dallas did have a good defense.
He always, you know what, though? I mean, and this is coming from a guy who's drafted Evans year after year after year, and if I don't draft him, I trade for him. Evans is
1,000 yards.
1,000 yards, but like he'll get you 25 fantasy points one game, and then get you 2 the next game.
Very true.
So we'll see what happens, I guess.
So for that game, the only question I have really is Winston. You believe him?
I want to, because he's like nuts. Like I love him. I love his speeches. I love his stuff. But like I just when he ate that W, I wanted to like him, but I can't.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know what to think about that game. I'll probably stay away from it unless you have an individual. I might look at Gage or Julio depending on the price. During the the week to week. So next game up on the schedule: Panthers at the Giants, or I like to say CMC versus Barkley. Yeah.
Barkley returned to form last week.
I guess.
Couple long runs.
Man.
Couple lower the shoulder, take him out. He had one very long run that got him a lot of yards after contact, which was really great. So Saquon looks like he's in his regular form. Giants come off of a really hot accidental win.
Yeah, which knocked us out.
But, I mean, great for Brian. Yeah, true. Great for Brian Dabble, who's well-deserving of, like, that team. But another person I'm looking out for, and this is a guy that I have in multiple leagues, is Robbie Anderson.
He did decent week 1.
He did. And I think when you're a deep threat guy and you play with Baker Mayfield, who is really only ever successful with deep threat guys.
Gotta be ready.
I think you can probably have 1,000-yard season and make a little resurgence in your career.
That's true.
So I'm keeping an eye on Robbie Anderson for this matchup and for many, many, many matchups moving forward.
I could see. Now, do you think Barkley and CMC have big games this
week? I don't think so. No, and I think
both are one or the other.
I don't know. I think Barkley will probably outplay CMC just because I think once they started to run the ball and they started to get more confident, they're not confident in Daniel Jones.
Gotcha.
And you can see it. And no one's confident in Daniel Jones.
No.
So I think that the more they try, I think that he'll outperform CMC just on workload alone.
That makes sense. All right, so nothing too fancy there besides maybe Anderson, but I think Anderson is worth a decent amount, and I haven't checked what each person is worth for this week, but I remember last week I think he was worth a decent amount. So not a person you can kind of sneak in there at the end, So your team's coming up next. Patriots versus the Steelers. Steelers, your team. Najee got banged up. Watt got banged up.
Yeah.
How you feeling? Talk about it.
Najee will play.
Okay.
TJ Watt will be out for at least 6 weeks. Definitely hurts the defense, but some of the best defensive play calling I've ever seen out of the Steelers in years. Some of the worst offensive play calling I've ever seen out of the Steelers in years. Najee Harris, I'd probably stay away from, just up against the Patriots. Never good luck against the Patriots. But with that being said, Deontay Johnson, if Trubisky can get the ball out, good. Chase Claypool, good. He relied on Freiermuth a lot.
Did he?
He did. So I think that's a person you want to watch out for. On the Patriots,
he's going to be cheaper too.
He is going to be cheaper. Yeah, I mean he's I think he's barely sneaking into top 10 on tight end right now, but I think that he's going to be used a lot. Patriots side of the ball, man. Like I don't know. That was not a game I expected out of them in week 1.
No, I did read that Mac was hurt his back, I believe. So
that explains that.
I'm not sure if he was out yet.
Okay.
But I definitely read something about he's getting his back looked at. So it's still early in the week when we shoot this, so some reports aren't out yet.
Yeah.
But something interesting to look out for. I mean, Mac or not, is Belichick really going to lose 2 in a row here?
He could, and if he does against the Steelers, I mean, that's a tone setter for both the Patriots and the Steelers for the rest of the season.
I guess.
So
it could be very interesting there.
Yeah.
The next game I want to talk about. My notes here I have, it's a must-win for the Colts or the Jaguars.
Oh.
Think about, let me just set this up for you. You got second-year T-Law. Okay. Did well last week. Not well enough. Let's just put it that way. He goes in. Are they really going to go 0-2? What do you think about that? Or the Colts, who had a fantastic season last year, had a tie in week 1. New quarterback, same old running back. If you had who did fantastic? Who is the must-win here? Which organization? The Colts or the Jags?
The Jags.
Okay.
Jags have to prove it. Jags have to prove that T-Law was worth it. Jags have a lot on the line, I think, this entire season.
Fair.
It's unfair to Peterson, I think, but they have a lot on the line. Still, really positive work out of James Robinson. I think Etienne might be overplayed a little bit as far as the fantasy hype is concerned. I think Robinson gives you like 5 scrimmage yards a play.
Robinson was one of our target running backs for the no running back strategy.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you did that strategy,
great,
because
15 to 25 points.
That would have worked out perfectly.
100%.
Now Travis Etienne, I do recall I don't know if he dropped. I think he dropped 1 or 2 touchdown passes. So the volume was there, but it seemed like it was forced. You know how like when Zeke first came to the league and like they just
fed.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It feels the same way here with Travis.
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, it's they took a chance. They could have. Won't say what they should have done. They could have built that team, put role players in place with Gardner Minshew at the helm, with James Robinson back here, and then been like, great, thanks for your 3-4 years.
Right.
Swap someone in, swap someone out. And I think they would have been better off. So I think they have a lot to prove, and I don't think Peterson has anything to prove. I think T-Law and Etienne have something to prove.
So not to eat into what we're going to talk about at the end of our last segment here, but just who do you rather hear? James Robinson? Would you go cheaper James Robinson, or would you pay the extra money to get Jonathan Taylor in this matchup? Putting you on the spot here.
I like my chances. If it's a cheap, get me under the radar, I've already got my wide receiver, I've got my tight end picked out, I want Robinson. I don't want to suffer in any other position to just get Taylor then put a lower end wide receiver in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a good strategy too. Winning these, not even winning, doing well, placing in these weekly games, sometimes you need those lower priced players. Sometimes the Pollards of the league, and bad example there, James Robinsons of the league, if you will, to do well. Next game up, Dolphins Ravens. I don't even know what to think about this game.
I got a hot take.
Do you have it?
Waiting for me at the end of the segment.
All right.
So I'm going to hold off on this game and let you sort of like give your prediction on who you think's going to go down.
Fine.
That's where I'm at.
We talked a lot about Tua.
Yeah.
Week 1.
We did.
That's probably part of your take.
It is.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yep.
You put me on the spot now.
I am.
Hill or Waddle? Who do you prefer? Both had good week 1s. I think Hill had more fantasy football points if you're doing a full point PPR. I think if you compare the full point PPR to standard, it's really just a touchdown. The yards is truthfully the only difference. And I don't think one had like 3 touchdowns. I don't know Waddle's
I don't believe
stats.
So. Yeah.
Who do you think are going to have the better fantasy now? Season.
Fantasy season?
Hill or Waddle after what you've seen in week 1?
Hill will still have the better fantasy season.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Waddle's fast, too.
Waddle is fast.
Like, just that team is unreal fast.
Yeah. I think that Waddle will be close. I think Hill still has
Actually, Waddle had a touchdown, I believe.
He did, yeah.
And in that
I don't know if he had a second one.
He didn't have 2.
Okay.
The one catch that he had for that touchdown, 3 defenders were around him, and he just kicked it into second gear. And it was like no one... It was like they weren't even trying, but obviously they were. That fast.
They have arguably the fastest team in the NFL.
How do you defend that? How do you even?
I don't know.
I don't know. 2D2, you know what I mean?
Like, and like
you can't do man coverage. Good luck.
And like honestly, even if you go deep on them, they have Mostert and Chase Edmonds, which are still fast. So like, cool. Drop back a little bit. And they'll catch you underneath.
So we'll move away from that game. I have a feeling we're going to be coming back to it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Here's an interesting one. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just boring and I'm just overthinking it.
Okay.
Falcons at the Rams.
I think, I don't know.
Isn't that fair?
Yeah,
isn't that fair?
It's interesting.
Like, just, as of right now, at the time of this recording, the Rams are -10. So,
Yeah.
like, when you see that,
Yeah.
that means, like, landslide victory.
Falcons hung on against the Saints
It's a
to the
tough game.
very end.
It's very standard of Falcons to be up a lot and then lose it at the end.
And I think if you're looking for, like, your sort of diamond in the rough here,
Okay,
right? Like,
yep.
you got Cooper Kupp. He's going to cost you a lot of money in DFS.
For sure.
Tons. Drake London had a good game against the Saints. He's probably a guy that's not going to cost a lot. Allen Robinson had 2 targets. He's probably going to be a guy that doesn't cost a lot. And I don't think he'll only have 2 targets against the Falcons. I can't see that that's the case.
So week to week, too, as players do good or they do worse, their value week to week changes.
Yep.
So a guy like Allen Robinson is going to be less compared to what he was week 1.
Yeah.
So it's a good point. It's a good point for
Yeah.
sure. Make sure you're taking notes. I have to, or I'll just rewatch it back later. All right, next one up. Seahawks. Man, the Seahawks. I say that because they did knocked us out. First, the 49ers, which also drove a lot of people nuts too because the Bears beat them last week. Like,
listen,
is Geno the real deal? Are we overthinking it?
Listen, I talked a lot of smack on Geno Smith.
You did!
A lot. I talked a lot of smack on Geno Smith. And I'm going to repent.
Okay.
And I'm going to repeat they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. And I'm going Seahawks over the 49ers. And I'm running with the Seahawks until he proves me otherwise.
You heard it here. All right. You heard it here first. 49ers are -10, and you're going Seahawks.
I'm going to go Seahawks until he loses.
Write it down.
Yep.
Bengals versus the boys. No Dak. Burrow with 6 turnovers week 1. Running backs for Dallas non-existent.
Honestly, though, man, if you're Dallas and you're going into your first week with a backup quarterback, you want to go against the Bengals, who just had a really rough time against a backup quarterback.
It was bad.
And their defense played well. Burrow played terribly. He kept putting them out on the field.
For sure.
Burrow didn't help them at all.
No.
And I don't know how much of it is Burrow playing bad and the Steelers' defense being that good.
True.
Again, Terrell Austin, Brian Flores, Mike Tomlin. You got a lot of guys on that defense
You do.
that are running that defense. So I don't know. But if you're the Cowboys, this is who you want to go against right now in this matchup. Do I think Cooper Rush is going to be someone you want on your DFS team? No. And I would stay away probably from CeeDee Lamb too.
I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game.
I think so too.
So, if anything, if you have players that you're just going after targets just for PPR, okay. But I think it's going to be a low. Even the Bengals, for how many turnovers Burrow had, for how much that defense played, they still kept it low scoring for the Steelers, for what it's worth.
Yeah, they kept it low scoring for the Steelers, and Jamar Chase still had 30+ fantasy points.
Right.
So if you have, if you're a Jamar Chase owner, great, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
If you're,
absolutely.
If you're a Mixon owner, goal line work, maybe you're gonna be fine. If you're a CeeDee Lamb owner, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
New quarterback, he might not even look his way.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who
Even
knows?
the tight end too. I don't know.
That's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
That's gonna hurt.
I
He
don't
was
know.
probably one of the top 5 tight ends.
Yeah.
Is he now?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting. A few games left, and we're gonna get to your hot picks, your bold picks. Texans versus our Broncos. My goodness. Are we gonna have a 2.0 for the Broncos?
No, I think.
Are they gonna lose again?
No, Jerry Jeudy looks good. He dropped a couple obvious catches.
He did.
That hurt.
Definitely.
Cortland Sutton looks good. KJ Hamler, if he can get to the ball like Lockett could for Russ, he'll be fine.
Okay.
Melvin Gordon and Williams are splitting snaps.
They played good. So maybe the 12th man really won that game.
I think so.
Essentially.
Yeah, and I think the Broncos. No hate on Davis Mills.
No, he played great.
He played great. They almost won that game.
They should have won that game at that point.
But I don't know. I think this is the Broncos' week.
Okay,
And I think
that's
Judy
fair.
and Sutton are still guys that you want to find and start.
And I don't think they're that expensive either, especially after last week. So
Yeah.
potentially some easy pickups there. Just to keep it kid friendly, the Cardinals and Raiders. If it was just you and I, there'd be some words of what is going on with both of those teams.
I don't know what's going on with the Arizona Cardinals, and it's so infuriating.
Like,
I don't know what that display was at all. Kyler Murray still had a great game, fantasy wise, and even real time too. But I don't know. I mean, their passing game didn't turn on until the fourth quarter, and
because they had to. At that point.
Yeah. So like I know, I mean, if you drafted Kyler Murray, you're starting Kyler Murray.
For sure.
You can't sit him. You're not going to sit him.
But even Carr, even on their side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even really know who to pick in this game because I feel like the Raiders kept up with the Chargers so much that like, are the Cardinals going to go 0-2?
Oh boy,
probably.
Oh boy, is D-Hop missing D-Hop that crucial? You
Could.
think to this game?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Insane. That's something. That's a game to really keep an eye on. I think after that, going into week 3, we'll have a better idea of Cardinals and Raiders, who they really are. Obviously, there's going to be some relearning, I should say, with Adams and Carr there. But boy, I was very surprised by both teams.
Yeah.
All right, the Bears and the Packers. Now, I've been saying the Packers are going to be
basement.
Yes.
Right to the basement.
Yes.
Send him to the basement.
So, you're with me in that. So you're also in the crazy boat.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Perfect. Let's go. Let's ride
terrible.
that. I think this is going to be the first time. I don't know if it's the first time, but Bears are going to win this game.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think for sure.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
And I think there's too much missing for that Packers organization. There just is.
I agree. And I think that and it was noticeable.
It was clear.
And I remember saying during the Raiders game, when Adams was catching all the balls, I was like, Adams was the piece. It was.
100%.
Yeah, those last couple
100%.
years, like, Rodgers is a great quarterback, don't get me wrong.
100%.
Adams was the piece.
But yes.
And
he's that good of a player.
For sure. And I think that Rodgers now knows what he's dealing with. Rodgers is getting paid.
Yeah. What do you think? What's the over-under that he is the host of Jeopardy by week 5?
Ooh. I don't know.
Should we be picking up love?
Plus 120, maybe?
Yeah, plus 120. Yeah. Awesome. There. All right, 2 more. Vikings versus the Eagles.
Yeah, we got 2 Monday night games this week, which is really weird.
2 Monday nights. So that one actually is at, 8:30?
Yeah.
And then the Titans-Bills, which we'll talk about next, is the first one at 7:15. So Vikings-Eagles. We'll go with the later one first.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Vikings-Eagles, start everyone but defenses. This is going to be a high-scoring bloodbath of a game.
Going into week 1, you were actually saying Eagles and Tampa.
I was.
Do you believe it's going to be Vikings and the Eagles now?
I could make the case for it.
Okay.
I don't think I will right now. Okay. I think Justin Jefferson is probably the most talented person in football right now.
Unbelievable.
They showed a stat that was like Justin Jefferson at 147 yards and the Packers at 100 yards.
Yeah. I think Jefferson has about 235 yards. Monday night. I really do.
Yeah, I seriously start everybody but the defense.
Absolutely.
Any person that you have Kenneth Gainwell, start him.
Now what about Devonta Smith? Not one catch week 1.
One catch. I know.
So does he make a turnaround?
Yeah, because that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. I mean, Hurts ran the ball in for a touchdown. Sanders ran the ball in for a touchdown. Gainwell ran the ball in for a touchdown.
One more.
And
Boston
Scott ran the ball in for a touchdown. So they ran so much when they got to the red zone that
unbelievable.
I think he'll get more comfortable with Devonta Smith. But they got A.J. Brown and they got some other weapons that I think they were trying out.
I think so, too. Like I said, it felt like a party the whole game.
Yeah, it really did. And I think they were like, it's the Lions. Yeah. And then they started to come back and they were like, all right, wait.
Hold on. You guys need to play defense.
Yeah, so I think that this will be less messing around with what they have. Okay. And I think it's just going to be like, cool, go.
Let's go. We got to play ball.
I think you're looking at like a 42-35 game.
So which is cool if we're thinking that. So we're both agreeing that's going to be like a high scoring game. You can
100%.
probably find some cheap players to just put in as a flyer. A Boston Scott.
Yeah.
Gainwell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just guys that could have some big boy potential because of the type of game it is. Yeah. Very interesting. Last game on the card: Titans versus Mr. Allen and the Bills.
Josh Allen fan since Wyoming. I'm never, ever, ever going to vote against him, go against him, bet against him, put a defense against him. I'm going to go Josh Allen. I'm going to go Isaiah McKenzie. I'm going to go Gabe Davis. I'm going to go Dawson Knox. I'm going to go Devin Singletary. I'm going to go James Cook. Even if, if he can hold on to the ball, that would be super great. But that's like one little thing that he can't figure out. But other than that, go everyone on the Bills. Derrick Henry's going to Derrick Henry. He's always going to Derrick Henry. Sure. Bobby Trees will Bobby Trees if Tannehill can get him the ball.
Absolutely.
Bills all day.
We started off the podcast with Mahomes being in beast mode, separating himself from the bunch. Allen did that even more so, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's literally watching a guy that's whatever switch he just clicked on this season, he is seeing the game at slow pace, and he's just slow motion, I should say, and he is dominating.
Yep.
I agree. I would pick up Bills players, trade for Bills players, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, one of them.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, we got a few minutes left. What we want to do real quick is Connor's bold prediction. We're going to switch the screen. So the objective is kind of what we're talking about, the cheap guys, if you will. Who you can find cheaper in the league. My monitors are all mixed up here, so I'm sorry. Give me a second to get my scroll. So what's happening? We're using Fantasy Pros. We have a bunch of rated players. We'll start off with the quarterbacks. Right now we're going to go quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight end. Give me a guy that's low on the totem pole here that you think is going to outscore a guy that's on the top. Start off with the quarterbacks.
We got Dolphins Ravens in a matchup. My prediction right now is that Tua will outperform real-time stats and fantasy stats Lamar Jackson by double-digit points.
Double. So if you guys look, there's Tua. I was trying to find him. He was so low. 17 is going to outscore. Where's Lamar?
Number 3. Yep.
That is a bold prediction.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, let's keep it moving. Like I said, this back section, my computer, this is going to be lovely. There we go. Running backs.
Moving right on to running backs, huh?
Let's go right to running backs.
Cool. I'm going to take anyone in the top 30 over Cordarrelle Patterson against the Rams.
There's Patterson, 22. So you're going
anybody
in the top 30. So he's
so Devin Singletary,
really?
Play him over Cordarrelle Patterson.
He's going
Chase Edmonds, play him over Cordarrelle Patterson.
I want you guys to look at this.
Josh Jacobs, play him over Cordarrelle Patterson.
I want you guys to look at this list if I can ever get the scroll right. He is saying that he's going to end that right there. Michael Carter down.
Yep.
All these players are bold prediction. Connor's bold. I won't say our. Connor's bold prediction.
Yep.
It's all of these running backs is going to score higher than Cordarrelle Patterson. Just give me why. Give me why.
Rams. It's all on the Rams defense. Okay. It's all on the Rams defense playing the Falcons. I think if they were playing anyone else, I wouldn't pick on Cordarrelle Patterson.
Okay.
I love Cordarrelle Patterson. It's a tough team.
Okay.
It's a real tough team.
Wide receivers now.
Wide receivers. Robbie Anderson, I mentioned it in our matchup section. Robbie Anderson, deep threat, Baker Mayfield, over CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
The Cooper Rush.
I'm trying to find.
General.
I can't find. How low is he?
There
he is. Anderson.
Number 50.
50. That's what I was looking for. 50. I was like, oh, man, did I miss him?
Yep.
50 over. Let's see now. Where? I'm assuming he's going to drop.
CeeDee Lamb is number 17 on that list.
Did I miss him? There he is. There he is. 17. CeeDee Lamb right there.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think that's too bold, actually. I actually might be with you. Number-wise, yeah.
Okay.
But like we talked about earlier with Dallas, that's tough. We don't know where we're getting yet.
Yeah.
He might not look at him at all.
True.
So, I can say an hour for that. I'll say an hour for
that. That's
fair.
All right. I got an endorsement on that one. All right, cool. That works.
All right, last one before we end Week 2's podcast.
All right, man. Last one.
Tight ends.
Cool.
Let's hear it.
We're going to go Zach Ertz over.
Zach Ertz. Okay, 9. He's 9.
9.
There he is.
Over Kyle Pitts and Travis Kelce. I'm going to go Mark Andrews is going to be number 1. I'm going to go Zach Ertz is number 2.
That is bold.
Yep.
I need to know why.
Listen,
I need to know why.
Targets around Kyler Murray are dropping like flies. And he leaned on Ertz a lot towards in the fourth quarter when that game started to catch up and the passing game came to life. He leaned on Ertz a whole lot.
Fair enough.
So if he does it for a whole game, I think him over Travis Kelce, especially, who's facing a very, very, very good Chargers defense.
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. Listen, fun week 2. A lot of stuff's going to happen. Any last comments on anything that we missed that you want to bring up for week 2?
Listen, man, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. They wrote me off, but I didn't write back.
Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next week here at J. Ruth Gaming. Take care. Have a great night.